Hi, Julie here from School Omega Solutions. This is a video particularly for governors who would like to know how to draw down reports or view some evidence that's been put on offer by the school leadership team. So if you are a governor and you have used it before but you have had a blank in your memory and can't remember how to do it, I'm going to quickly remind you. You're going to log in. You're going to go to the reporting, and then you're going to choose a report that's either already been put in place or pick blank report. And on that blank report, choose the things that you want to see. So that's a very quick reminder to get you back into the system. However, I'm going to go right back to the beginning for everybody else. So you're new to the system, you're a governor, and your school leadership team have offered you a login so that you can have a look at the audit and reporting tool, but also draw down reports from that or look at evidence that's been offered. So we're going to start with going into the audit and reporting tool. Now, you will have been given a login by the head teacher or someone on the SLT that's been offered to you. So you're going to click into here and you're going to log in. Now, I've already logged in. These are my two schools, Crocombe and Stigumber at the moment, two of my four actually. So this is what a dashboard looks like. Once you've logged in, you'll come into a dashboard. Now, the dashboard is an overview of what's red, what's amber and what's green. The SLT have already suggested where the school is at. Now, it gives you a broad overview of where the school is at. I haven't filled all mine in yet. I'm still working through it. It's a slow and steady pace for me, but it's a really useful exercise. So you'll know that your SLT, for each area that they have RAG rated, they've thought very carefully about the evidence they have to show why they think it's red, amber or green. Now, this is great for governors because for governors you finally have a tool that allows you to question the SLT. Either one, why is it red and why is it not amber yet and what are we doing about it? But also, if it's amber, you might ask, what has been done to get it to amber? What's left to do to get it to green? It gives you opportunity to challenge the SLT, to ask those questions that inform you as to where the school is at and where it needs to go. Now, this will really keep you in the know as to where your school is at. This is the best way to find out because this covers everything: performance, culture and ethos, teaching and learning, curriculum, your leadership and governance. So you need to be looking at how you're performing as governance and as leaders. The health and well-being of the school, that includes the staff as well as the children, and the Christian distinctiveness if you are a Church of England school. You'll never have known more, really. You're asking all the right questions now to SLT, which, let's face it, on your minutes of your FGB or your committee meetings, they are going to be really high quality questions. But then don't forget, look at the green. Where you see green, you should be congratulating the staff. You should be, first of all, telling them well done, but second of all, asking them, how did you get it to green? How do we know it's green? What can we do to get the others to green? Now we know what green looks like. So these are really informed questions. These are going to really arm you for those meetings. So you want to now have a little dig down and see, what does that mean? So under performance, it says 11 are red, 2 are amber and 19 are green. But we want to know, what does that mean? So you'll go into the RAG entry here. Now, RAG entry is where you go in and you enter all the different statements and RAG them. So the screen looks practically exactly the same. The only difference here is it tells us how many have not been set yet. These are the things the SLT haven't actually looked at yet. That's okay. So you want to go into performance, for instance. Let's click into performance. Let's look at those RAGs the SLT have done. So the SLT have suggested here that all pupils will achieve at least expected progress and aspire to be 10% nationally. Well, your SLT have suggested it's green. Now, how do you know it's green? Where's the evidence to suggest that that's green? Well, let's go into the edit. Let's have a look and see, what did they put in there that suggests it's green? So here's the statement. All children are making at least expected progress and many are making accelerated progress. Well, we can all say that, but where's the proof? Read what they suggest, where they got their information from, okay? And then have a look. What documents have they attached that prove that your school is green. Okay, here they are, attached files. There's the data analysis for January 2020. You can download that if you like. Let's do that now. You can download that and you can have a look at that data analysis. Now, you've probably already received it because it would have been offered to you at a governor's meeting. So it'll probably be something you recognise, or you may already have downloaded that and seen it in another life. So here's the January update, and that suggests that the school is working at a high performance, so therefore it can be green. That's great. We like that evidence. The other one is the progress charts for July. So looking at the performance of the school last year and all of the progress charts, it proves that the school is working at that higher level for performance. So let's open that and have a look. Now, again, it'll be something you probably will have received at some point, either in July or September, to discuss as full governors. And that shows you how high your school is performing. So therefore, you now have the evidence that tells you that's absolutely accurate, that should be green, and the reasoning for it being green is absolutely right. So let's go back to the RAG entry and go back into performance. And you can have a look at any one of these things. Look at all of those greens and ask yourself, where's the evidence and how do I know it's green? Who am I congratulating? And how did we manage to get to green? Start digging down. How did that get to green? And therefore, how does this get to green? We see an amber here. The Year 6 SAT results are in line with the national figures or above. Well, let's have a look. So our children have gained above national with reading, in line with writing, but below in maths. Due to small numbers in the cohorts, this can fluctuate remarkably. So there's a warning there. One, that maths is not doing as well as reading and writing. So the question you might want to ask the SLT is why? Why is it not doing quite so well? But there has also been a bit of information there. With small cohorts, that can happen. Have the SLT explain that to you. Okay, and here's your end of year analysis data to prove what results were achieved in the SATs results. So you're getting all the evidence you need. You're not just being told, but you're actually seeing all the evidence, which is fantastic. Now, let's go back. So here we are with the RAG entry, or we can go to the dashboard, doesn't matter. But what you want to do now is start to prepare yourself with a report. Perhaps you've got a committee meeting coming up on performance, and therefore you want to pick out certain areas to focus on, to converse about within that meeting. So let's go to reporting. You want to design a report. Now there are plenty in there for you, so you might be the link governor of the early years, and therefore you want to see a report on early years. Let me show you what that might look like. So generate the report, and here it is. So here's one that I made earlier, and basically I chose all the different headings or criteria that I would want to look at if I was an early years link governor. So for instance, I would absolutely want to look at progress children make, because not only do I want to see how early years are performing, but how that moves on through the school. I want to look at those vulnerable groups within early years. I want to look at the outcomes for the whole school year on year, particularly in early years, just to see if we're keeping our standards up, improving them, or what's happening. Pupil premium children I'd like to look at in early years, and obviously anything related to early years statements I'm going to want to look at as well. Okay, so that's all of those. Now, when the report is generated, you will see the RAG rating, you will see the summary that the SLT have put in there justifying why they have chosen green, but also here you've got the names of the attached files that are evidence of why it's a green. So you can see here in early years GLD, it's a green because the last 4 years has shown early years is in line and above national standards, and these are all the documents to prove it. Okay, which is fantastic. So you can go into any one of these documents to look at that evidence. But here is a really good example of a report that deserves early years being congratulated, first of all, because they're all green. Thank God for early years. But also, you might want to ask why. You might want to use the evidence, but also the summary, and have a conversation with your early years lead to say, how did you manage to get this to green? How can Key Stage 1 learn from this? How can Key Stage 2 learn from this? What did you do that they can do? So these are really, really useful conversations. So let's go back. You want to generate your own report. So go to blank report, okay, which is always at the top. Give it a title. So you might want to call it a test because you're not sure what you want to do. We're going to call it a test at the moment. And you do want to include the RAG value. You want to see if it's, red, amber or green. You do want the summary to see why they chose that. But you'd also like to see what are the attached documents that are evidence, okay? So now you need to choose what you want to look at, okay? So let's go into performance. It might be that you're really only looking at vulnerable groups. They're the only children you're focusing on. So you will want to look at the whole school. You will want to look at the vulnerable groups. You will want to look at the SAT results because these all include the vulnerable groups. You definitely want to look at intervention, outcomes for this school year on year, how we're improving year on year, pupil premium strategy because obviously they are vulnerable groups. You might want to think about actually let's hear from those children so pupils can discuss their progress. Can the vulnerable groups do that? The children talk confidently about learning and so on. What about the Key Stage 1 to Key Stage 2 progress? Let's look at that. And the gaps between boys and girls narrowing, certainly a vulnerable group. The boys tend to be a very vulnerable group. So let's say I just want to look at these for the next meeting. I want the focus to be on what are we doing for our vulnerable groups. I'm calling it a test. I've changed my mind. I'm going to call it vulnerable groups. Okay, and I'm going to take that to the next meeting. I'm going to save that. And there it is. It's down here. So let's have a look. Let's generate that report and see what it will look like. Here we go. So at the top it says vulnerable groups for my school, which is great because I've now got that banked. And here we are. So for all pupils it's green. Here is the evidence. Now you can go through those progress charts and check that that is actually good evidence. Oh, we have an amber here. So that's the one we talked about earlier with the SATs results. Is that because it's a small cohort? Is it because those vulnerable groups really aren't being pushed as hard as they can be? Here's a conversation to be had within your meeting. And going all the way down, looking through all those vulnerable groups, they're all green, except for this one down here. Now you'll notice there's no summary and there's no evidence and it's red, simply because it hasn't yet been ragged. So you might want to have a conversation. It's not been ragged, but you could say, when you do rag it, what are your feelings, what are your thoughts, and what evidence do we have to suggest it's that? So here's a conversation within your committee meeting, and your amber is a conversation. But don't forget always to congratulate on the green and find out why they're green and how did they get to green. So when we look at vulnerable groups progress will be in line with peers nationally, it's green. There's evidence to show that and explaining why. Have that conversation. Why is the school successful in working with vulnerable groups? What are they doing that's so good? How do we share that with other schools? Where have we learnt this lesson and how can we apply this to other areas within the school? These are really informed conversations. This is outstanding governance. This is what it looks like, okay? So, to governors out there, you can go to your dashboard, have a quick overview. You can print this. You can go to the RAG entry and have a look at all the different evidences, all the different pieces of paper that say, this is why we know this, going down. Remember at the bottom, there they are. And don't forget, also, you can create your own report. So choose what you want, go into a blank report if it's a brand new one, or you may have already created one and you want to pick that one out. Okay, so to governors, you're set up so that you can pull down any report you like, have really, really outstanding and useful and meaningful conversations with your committees, with your SLT, and have a great time. Enjoy. Know your school better than you ever have done before. Bye.